So I, 34-year-old female, have a friend, 33-year-old female, from grade school that we reconnected as adults and last year, 2023, became extremely close, often referring to each other as best friends. At the end of July, we got into a stupid small disagreement. After about a week of not talking, I noticed that she blocked me on everything. I also noticed that she continued following my husband on Instagram, so I asked him to block her, and he said he would. To my knowledge, I assume that he did. Over the past few months, I had tried to get in touch with her twice. In October, I reached out to her ex-boyfriend that she lived with and asked him to pass on a message that I missed her. Towards the end of November, I sent her a Christmas card and just wrote something simple like, "I miss you and I'm here when you're ready to talk." Last night, I decided I was going to try to talk to her from my husband's 35-year-old male Instagram account. Asked him to sign in on my phone. He seemed apprehensive about this and was making me very suspicious that maybe there was something on his Instagram he didn't want me to see. Next thing I know, he's confessing that he's talked to her in the recent past about me and her. Trying to translate what in the actual frick that means. These are the things that he's told me. He reached out to her shortly after he found out that she blocked me on everything. He went to her for relationship advice. She told him secrets that I told her in confidence. They've spoken more than once because she reached out to him after she received my card in the mail. Here are the things that are pissing me off beyond belief and making me consider divorce. Neither of them have my best interest at heart. That's blatantly clear. Obviously, I would expect this over a friend who blocked me literally over nothing, but not my husband. My husband supposedly went to her for relationship advice when he was clearly fishing for dirt on things that I was possibly doing/saying behind his back. I feel like an absolute moron thinking that I could repair my friendship with her all these months, and all along he's known that she has no interest in being friends anymore, and he just let me feel that way. My husband has been accusing me of things over the last few months, things that she told him, and lying to me about how he got the information. He just believed everything she said and ran with it. I feel like I'm in freaking high school. The worst part is that my husband thinks he did nothing wrong and that he was just going to a friend for advice. Believe me, if he found out I was secretly speaking to any of his friends behind his back for months, he'd be long gone. But he expects me to just forgive him. Little background on my husband and myself. We've been together 17 years, married for almost 12, and we've had a lot of ups and downs, mostly in the first half of our relationship. We haven't had any serious problems in about 8 years. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. He seemed apprehensive about this and was making me very suspicious that maybe there was something on his Instagram he didn't want me to see. He knows he did wrong. That's why he had this reaction. Him claiming he did nothing wrong now is just gaslighting. Did you see the actual conversations? Maybe there is more going on between them. It would explain why your friend suddenly blocked you. I think they were having an affair since before the friend went no contact. Also, tell him that you will be seeking relationship advice from one of his enemies. You won't tell him which one, but he can't stop you because that's what he did. Also, yeah, I would divorce him too. Trust is broken. Comment 2. Not the idiot. My blood boils just reading this. I also have an ex-best friend for 15 or so years that I bared my soul to. I would have lost my freaking shoot if I found out my husband was chatting her up, and I would have lost it on her for telling my secrets. I mean, unless you royally fricked her over and deserved it, then she should have some freaking integrity. What a trash heap. As for him, what kind of jerk goes to your ex-best friend and starts talking about you? He didn't want advice. He wanted someone to dogpile on you and talk shoot with. As for divorce, you do what you need to do, but I'd wait a bit until you're calmer before you decide for sure. That's a lot of good years to throw away. Now for the update. So, it's been 2 weeks since I found out about my husband and my former best friend's secret conversations. I've been trying to piece together the puzzle of their betrayal. And let me tell you, it's been a ride. First off, I remembered something from way back, before my husband and I got married. There was this one time when he got super jealous over a guy friend I had. Nothing was going on, but he made a huge deal out of it. So the fact that he's been talking to my ex-best friend behind my back? Yeah, that's a whole new level of hypocrisy. Now let's talk about the recent past. After I confronted him, he tried to explain himself. He said he was feeling insecure about our relationship and needed someone to talk to. But why her? Why the one person who had just cut me out of her life? It didn't add up. I decided to do some digging. I remembered that my husband had been acting weird around the time I sent the Christmas card to my ex-friend. He was on his phone a lot and would quickly switch apps if I came close. I should have seen the signs then. So 2 days ago, I got a message from her ex-boyfriend, the one I had reached out to back in October. He told me that after I had contacted him, my ex-best friend had called him, all angry, asking why he was talking to me. He said she ranted about me for a good hour. He also mentioned that she had been asking about my husband and me, which was odd. That's when it hit me. The whole relationship advice thing was a cover. They weren't just talking about me, they were talking about themselves too. I confronted my husband again, and after a lot of arguing, he finally admitted that they had met up once to talk. I was furious. I felt like I was living in some twisted soap opera. But wait, it gets better. Yesterday I was at the grocery store, and guess who I bumped into? My ex-best friend. She had the nerve to smile at me like nothing was wrong. I was so angry I could barely speak, but I managed to ask her why she did it. Why she betrayed me. She just shrugged and said that my husband was a better friend to her than I ever was. Can you believe that? She said they had connected on a deeper level. I was shaking with anger. I told her she could have him and stormed out. But here's the twist. When I got home, I found my husband packing a bag. He said he needed some time to think and that he was going to stay at a friend's place. I was so done with his excuses. I told him to go and not to come back. He left, and I was alone, trying to process everything. Then I got a text from him. He said he was sorry and that he had made a mistake. He wanted to come back and talk. I didn't reply. Later that night, there was a knock on the door. It was him, and he looked like he had been crying. He begged me to listen. He said that when he met up with my ex-best friend, she had tried to kiss him. He pushed her away and realized he had messed up. He said he didn't tell me because he was ashamed and didn't want to lose me. I didn't know what to believe. I told him I needed time to think and that he couldn't stay here tonight. He left again, and I sat there feeling like my whole world had turned upside down. And then, just an hour ago, I got another message. It was from her. She said she was sorry and that she had been in love with my husband for years. She said she thought he felt the same way, and that's why she blocked me to get closer to him. But when he rejected her, she realized she had lost both her best friend and the man she loved. Sister-in-law's toxic kiss attempt on my daughter got me couch-bound. My wife's silence speaks volumes, but the twist is shocking. My wife, 27 years old, and I, 29 years old, were hosting a Christmas party. Her sister has a serious drinking problem, and she gets overly touchy. 7:30 p.m. She's already drunk over half a bottle of vodka. As my sister-in-law, 36 years old, was about to leave, and relatives pleaded with her to take an Uber, she cornered my 13-month-old daughter and tried to force her to kiss her on the mouth. My daughter was squirming away and saying, "No, no, no, no." So I ran over, firmly but calmly tugged on my sister-in-law's arm, and I said, "No, no kissing on the mouth." My sister-in-law then kicked me below the belt, and I went down. She tried to kiss my daughter again. I jumped up, shoved her to the ground at nearly full strength, and she claimed I punched her, which everyone clearly saw that I didn't. My in-laws grabbed her by each arm, carried her out, all while apologizing profusely, saying I did nothing wrong. Now it's January, and my wife still has me sleeping on the couch. She won't even tell me why she's angry. Am I the idiot? What should I do? I asked my wife if she's mad at me for retaliating, but she said I had no choice. Note, I was horribly sexually abused by my biological father growing up, so I am very sensitive about this topic, and I am very protective of my daughter. My daughter loves giving hugs, but my sister-in-law has bad breath, and she's clearly not very good with kids. Update, After reading these comments, I decided to really try to talk to my wife and tell her that this can't continue. And after some talking, I'm back in my bed again. Edits. Thank you all for the support. I had no idea the post would go this far. My wife and I are legally married, but we haven't had our ceremony yet due to infection 19. So I sometimes forget and say fiancé. She doesn't wear a wedding band yet, but we have it. Update. After reading these comments, I decided to really try to talk to my wife and tell her that this can't continue. And after some talking, I'm back in my bed again. Turns out, even though her parents seem to take my side, it's my mother-in-law that is siding with my wife's sister. She says I overreacted and that I deliberately tried to embarrass my sister-in-law. Odd, huh? I genuinely believe my wife when she says she was too embarrassed and upset to tell me. I didn't know how much her mom favors her idiot sister. I was completely unaware of this dynamic. As for my daughter, she was a bit scared when it happened, but she still loves playing with me, and we watch Minnie Mouse cartoons together, and she likes when I chase her with a Cookie Monster hand puppet. She is an absolute joy, and I love her dearly. She also never cries, literally the easiest baby I've ever seen. Note: although there are certain families and cultures who don't have a problem with kissing on the mouth, I have never kissed my daughter on the mouth, and I never will. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. Sister-in-law escalated that way beyond what was okay. You protected yourself and your child as you should. I don't understand why your wife seems upset and has you sleeping on the couch if she says she isn't mad or won't say what's going on. I get that it may have been emotional for her, but not communicating doesn't seem fair. Maybe express to her that if she isn't comfortable with you sleeping in the same bed, then you are worried about your relationship and want to mend the problem. Open a dialogue with the intent to hear one another out. Good luck. Comment 2. Not the idiot. Your wife needs to grow the hell up and admit that she is part of the problem by enabling her sister. You did nothing wrong. Demand answers or take your kid and leave and tell wife her sister's drinking problem. An attack will be used against her when filing for full custody. Now, for the update. Hey Reddit, back again with another update on the situation with my wife and her sister. It's been 3 days since I last posted, and let me tell you, it's been a roller coaster. So after I got back into our bed, things seemed to be looking up. My wife and I had a long talk about boundaries and how her sister's behavior was unacceptable. She agreed and promised to talk to her sister about getting help for her drinking problem. I thought we were on the same page. But then, 2 days ago, my wife's phone buzzed with a text while she was in the shower. I know I shouldn't have looked, but curiosity got the better of me. It was from her sister, saying she was sorry and that she wanted to meet up and talk. I didn't say anything to my wife, but it was eating me up inside. Yesterday, I came home early from work to surprise my wife with dinner. But the surprise was on me. I walked in to find my wife and her sister sitting at the kitchen table, laughing and chatting like nothing had happened. My heart sank. I felt betrayed. My wife saw my face and immediately the laughter stopped. We had a huge fight. She said I was controlling and that I couldn't dictate who she could see or talk to. I reminded her of what her sister had done, not just to me, but to our daughter. I couldn't believe she was just brushing it off. In the heat of the moment, my wife blurted out that she was still angry with me for pushing her sister. She said she understood why I did it, but she couldn't shake the image of me being violent. It was like a punch to the gut. I've always been against violence, especially after what I went through with my biological father. I tried to explain that I was just protecting our daughter, but she wouldn't listen. The argument ended with my wife storming out and going to stay with her parents. I was left alone, feeling like my world was falling apart. I couldn't sleep, so I spent the night watching old videos of my daughter, remembering the good times before all this drama. This morning, I got a text from my wife saying we needed to talk. I was hopeful that we could work things out, but when she came home, she was cold and distant. She said her mother had convinced her that I was overreacting and that her sister deserved a second chance. I couldn't believe it. After everything, her mother's opinion mattered more than our daughter's safety. We're at a stalemate now. My wife is talking about staying with her parents for a while to clear her head. I'm worried about what this means for our relationship and our family. I love my wife, but I can't just stand by while her sister's behavior is swept under the rug. As for my daughter, she's been clingy since the incident. She's usually such an independent little thing, always exploring and getting into everything with a curiosity that amazes me. But now she won't let me out of her sight. It breaks my heart to see her like this. I'm trying to keep things as normal as possible for her. We still have our cartoon marathons and playtime with the Cookie Monster puppet, but there's a tension in the air that wasn't there before. Brother slaps me for defending Lena, but his lies can't hide the truth. He loses everything, and his apology can't fix the broken trust. My 19-year-old brother had been dating this girl, Lena, who is a trans girl. They had casual dates, but they didn't have intimacy until some days ago. So his friends didn't know that Lena was trans because she cis passes. But one day, my brother accidentally told them that he met her trans friend group. Everyone looked at him as if he had said a slur, but they didn't bring up the topic again. That changed during his last date with her. He wanted to ask her to be his girlfriend formally, but his friends started calling him gay and other offensive names. This made him insecure, but he still went on the date. According to what he told me, he didn't get the chance to ask her, but they were going to be intimate. In the middle of it, he got insecure again and questioned if it made him gay. Lena noticed his discomfort and asked him to stop, trying to comfort him. She even got dressed and braved the freezing temperature at 2 a.m. to get him a candy and make him feel better. She was really nice. However, he told his friends that she forced him to be intimate with her or she would label him as trans unfriendly. He also said that she got angry when he stopped because he didn't want to continue. His friends started criticizing her and even distorted my brother's version of the story, calling her a child predator. This made her delete all her social media. Naturally, she broke up with my brother, and he was really sad. But he selfishly told me that he was doing her a favor by not breaking up with her, even though she raped him. To clarify, I was already annoyed with him. As someone who is part of the LGBTQIA+ community myself, I was upset that she faced lies and hate due to transphobia. So I yelled at my brother, telling him to reread the definition of rap. What happened between them that night was consensual, and she stopped when he asked her to. She was nothing but kind and attentive to him. He was not only making false accusations that can harm actual rap victims, but also ruining someone's life. In response, he slapped me and left the house, and he hasn't returned since then. People in my DMs have been calling me a rape apologist and saying that I'm only defending her because I'm a homosexual. They accuse me of being part of a child predator cult or something like that. I don't know if what I did was wrong, but even my parents are mad at me. I don't know what to do. Am I the idiot? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. He made up a story to try and save face with his douchey brother friends. Seems like the chick he was dating actually was very sensitive to his apprehension, and his tiny brain couldn't comprehend the emotional maturity this other person had. In my eyes, your brother presents as a Neanderthal who should avoid the opposite intimacy at all costs. If I were you, I would also consider avoiding him completely. Comment 2. Wow, your brother is a formerly decent guy sliding into the vat of pig poop that are his friends. I'm sorry he hit you. I'm sorry you couldn't get through to him with the truth. And I'm so sorry for Lena. She did everything right, and the bigots still got to her through her own boyfriend. Now, for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for all the comments on my last post. It's been a rough couple of weeks, and I've got some updates that I think you'll find pretty shocking. So, after my brother left the house that night, things got even more complicated. Remember how I mentioned that Lena had deleted all her social media because of the lies spread by my brother and his friends? Well, it turns out that wasn't the end of it. Lena had a best friend, Jamie, who had always been super supportive of her. They'd been inseparable since they were kids, and Jamie was one of the first people Lena came out to. But here's where the betrayal comes in. Jamie, who had been like a sister to Lena, started hanging out with my brother behind her back. I couldn't believe it when I found out. Jamie had always been the one to stand up for Lena, but now she was getting cozy with the guy who had hurt her the most. It was like a punch in the gut to find out that Jamie was the one who had convinced my brother to lie about Lena in the first place. Apparently, Jamie had always had a crush on my brother and was jealous of Lena. She saw an opportunity to drive a wedge between them and took it. She fed my brother all these ideas about how being with Lena might affect his reputation and egged him on to exaggerate what happened that night. It was Jamie who spread the story to my brother's friends, twisting it even more. When Lena found out about Jamie's betrayal, she was devastated. She confronted Jamie, and it was a huge mess. They had a massive argument in the middle of the street, with Jamie shouting that Lena didn't deserve my brother, and Lena calling Jamie a backstabber. It was a scene straight out of a drama show. Meanwhile, my brother was still missing. My parents were freaking out, calling everyone he knew, trying to find him. They were also still mad at me for taking Lena's side, but I couldn't just stand by and watch her life get ruined over lies. Then, out of nowhere, my brother showed up at home. He looked like he hadn't slept in days, and he was a complete mess. He broke down, admitting that he had made up the whole story about Lena because he was scared of what his friends would think of him. He said he realized how much he had hurt Lena and felt terrible about it. But the real shocker? He told us that he actually loved Lena and that he regretted everything he had done. He wanted to apologize to her, but he didn't know how to face her after everything that had happened. As for me, I was still getting hate messages from people who believed my brother's original story. It was exhausting trying to explain the truth to people who had already made up their minds. But I had to stand up for what was right, even if it meant going against my own brother. The whole situation was a mess, and it felt like our family was falling apart. My parents were torn between being angry at my brother for lying and being relieved that he was home safe. I was still angry at him for everything he had done, but I also felt sorry for him because I could see how much he was hurting. In the end, my brother decided to make a public apology. He went back on social media, posting a long message about how he had lied and how sorry he was for hurting Lena. He admitted that his own insecurities had led him to make terrible decisions and that he was seeking help to deal with them. As for Lena, she's still trying to pick up the pieces of her life. She's slowly rebuilding her social media presence, but it's going to take a long time for her to trust people again. Jamie tried to apologize to her, but Lena wasn't ready to forgive her just yet. And honestly, I don't blame her. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.